Everyone, welcome to Gadgets with Gurman. I'm Mark, and today we have a really cool new device for you. It's the Samsung Galaxy S9. This is one of the more anticipated devices of the year ahead of the next generation iPhones. We actually have a story about that today, so take a look at that. But on Samsung, send in your questions about the S9, the S9 Plus. This one is this lilac model here. It's sort of like a blend of purple and pink, and we'll be going through that one today. So send in your questions, and we'll answer them throughout the show. We have a ton coming in already, but I think first things first, let's just dive into it. Let's take a look at the hardware, let's take a look at the phone, and let's compare it to the iPhone X. So back to the other camera now. Let's take a look here. You can see overall they are about the same size. You have basically the same size here. You put it right on top of the iPhone X, and it looks just like the same size as the iPhone X. They both have a 5.8-inch screen here. Very interesting about the bezels. The situation there is that the top and bottom bezels are actually a little bit slimmer. So you can see that if you would compare it to an S8, it's slightly slimmer, but overall it's the same basic design as the S8 and S8 Plus. And the way you can tell this one is the S8 versus the Plus model is that it has one single camera, whereas on the S9 Plus, just like on the Note 8 that came out last fall, that actually has a dual camera. So on this phone right here, you have the 5.8-inch screen, edge to edge on the sides. You can sort of swipe on the side too. It has this little curve if you want to do these quick actions that they added over the last two generations with the Edge models. The bigger one has a 6.2-inch screen, which is about 3 inches smaller than the bigger iPhone X model coming out the end of next year. That's going to have a 6.5-inch screen. Storage, 64 gigabytes, which is comparable to the entry level on an iPhone. 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is ahead of usually what's in the industry for the smaller S9 model, 6 gigabytes of RAM in the bigger model. So that's what power users really like, to have applications running at the same time. Tons of them jumping in and out of apps. The 6 gigabytes of RAM is very helpful there. Comparison, Apple puts only like 2 or 3 gigabytes of RAM depending on their phone size and their different models. Another interesting thing that they did here is the fingerprint scanner. So the fingerprint scanner caused a lot of controversy on the back of the Samsung phones over the past few years because their location made it really easy when you picked it up to try to unlock the phone in order to touch the camera. And I've been playing around with this for a few minutes now. We just got this phone in our office. It's still not out yet. It was actually just announced yesterday in Barcelona at Mobile World Congress. But just playing with it, you know, sometimes I notice that my finger is going to start covering the camera here as well, which means that the problem is not really solved. But what they are doing is they're adding more biometric features to actually log into the phone. Now, as some of you may know, if you've been using a Samsung phone before, you have a few options for logging in. You have a regular PIN code. And I'll show you that here. And you can swipe up, put your PIN in, 1, 2, 3, 4. I highly recommend you don't use that. So that's that. You have the back, the fingerprint scanner to log in, but you also have a few other biometric options. And Samsung was actually one of the first to jump into this, but they haven't really perfected it like I think Apple has, or at least Apple's done a pretty good job on the security side. In terms of biometrics with Face ID. It's fast, can recognize it when you look at it, but there's a few other options here for biometrics. You have intelligent scan, which I'll jump into in a second, face recognition, and the iris scanner. So the iris scanner uses a little sensor up here, and I'll show you in a second, to basically scan your eyes. It basically takes a picture of your eyes, it recognizes the shapes of your iris, the patterns it recognizes there, it recognizes it, it'll let you in. Then there's face recognition, which basically takes the structure of your face, but it's not a more secure advanced 3D sensor like Apple has with Face ID. And then what's new to the S9 is intelligent scan. Now intelligent scan, I think it's sort of like a marketing term, marketing gimmick, but in practice, here's what it does. It scans your eyes for iris scanner, it scans your face for the facial recognition scanner, and it combines the two. So depending on low light conditions, where you are, it'll switch between the two. And I actually just want to show you the setup process here for intelligent scan so you can get a sense of how that works. So you go in there, and if you already have a PIN passcode on the phone, you log in with your PIN. It tells you a little bit of an explanation here. And let's switch to the other camera so you can see me setting this up. So I'm sort of going to hold the phone 20 to 50 centimeters away from me, and what you're seeing is a indicator here that the phone has been registered. And now let's go to the other camera so I can show you what this is showing here, and it's basically talking about iris setup. So you're going to want to take your glasses off in order for the phone to really see your irises. And here it's recommending that we switch the distance from 25 to 35 centimeters away from me to set this up. So I'm going to click continue, and let's go to the other camera while I do this. And I'm holding it 25 to 35 centimeters away from me. and it's measuring my irises, and you get 2 circles here, and you want to be able to just get that right. Okay, it says my iris is registered. Let's go back to the other camera here so you can see the end result of that. Now it's telling me that the intelligence scan is on, and it says, now that you've registered both your face and your irises, you can turn on intelligence scan, which combines face and iris scanning to improve accuracy and security even in low light or very bright light. So what you're seeing here is Samsung not really moving the needle forward in terms of a new biometric technology, but basically combining the two and giving the system the option to choose between the two. So it's a cool enhancement. It's surely to improve things when logging in. Sometimes face scan is not reliable. Sometimes iris scan is not reliable if you're wearing glasses. Now the phone will automatically know how to choose between the two for you, which is in fact a pretty nifty addition. So now we have intelligence scan, and let's go back to the lock screen here so I can show you it in practice. So let's go back to the other camera here, and it says use intelligence scan to swipe screen to unlock. I basically just looked at it, and it unlocked. Very fast, very cool. About the same speed as Face ID, but remember, the difference is that Face ID is taking in a 3-dimensional picture of your face with thousands of data points in order to securely log you in. We haven't had the phone long enough to test it against dummies and pictures and whatnot in order for it to, to really see the security of it, but so far, so good. It seems pretty cool. So a couple other hardware features on here, and then we'll jump into some questions, are stereo speakers. So the iPhone 10 and the iPhone 7 and the 8 Plus, they have stereo speakers, which means that the speaker on the bottom and the top both play music at the same time, and you have left and right speakers. And you play certain songs, you can really get a good feel for that. And in a demo, not going to play it now because you might not get a good sense over the camera feed how it sounds, but these definitely do seem louder. I think one of the secret, best features of the iPhone 10 is actually how loud they go speakers-wise, and these go pretty loud as well. And I think that has to do with some of the technology that Samsung is taking from its, acquisition of Dolby a couple of years ago. Now we have a bunch of questions coming in through. People are really interested in this phone. How's the bloatware on the S9? How big does it consume against the phone's storage space? I mean, the phone has 64 gigabytes of storage. On this demo model I have here, we have all sorts of applications. I'm not sure if some of the carrier phones have more on here, but this is a stock demo unit from Samsung, and you can see the array of different Samsung applications installed on here: Samsung Health, Samsung Gear, a Files application, and you have the internet browser from Samsung. But at the same time, you also have the internet browser Google Chrome from Google, right? So it basically takes you back to the age-old problem. You have an Android phone and a Samsung software built in as well, and they're all combined with each other, which sort of creates an experience where you're sort of mixed. Hey, which application am I using? Which one do I not use? And then you have some Microsoft apps installed on this as well. And the importance of the Microsoft apps is sort of this new DeX system that they have, where you can plug this into a monitor and keyboard and expand the phone as well. Another question coming in here, is it worth the upgrade and the money spent over the S8? That's a good question. If you really value the camera technology and the new Bixby features and maybe the gimmick of intelligence scan, yes. If you're the type of person on a smartphone plan where you just upgrade month to month to month, every month and then every year get the new phone, sure. But if you have an S8, you paid full price for it, I really don't think this phone so far is moving the needle forward. But the camera improvements are very interesting. And while I have you here on that, I actually want to show you a few things on the camera system. So let's switch to the other camera, and I will walk you through some of the new camera features. So this is the camera, and you can see at the top the interface is a little similar to Apple's, where you can swipe through different focuses, different modes. You have a food mode, a panorama mode, a selective focus, and an auto mode. Now the auto mode really encompasses everything. And I want to just show you one cool feature that they have here. There was a similar feature in some of the older Samsung phones. This one, we're bringing out the food again in order to take a picture here. So I'm sort of going to just scan on top here. We have this piece of bread, and then we're going to click the eye icon, and that's the Bixby icon there. And it's going to analyze this slice of bread, and it tells you this piece of wheat bread, and it is indeed wheat bread. It deciphered between sourdough, wheat, all other types of breads, and basically was able to indicate, hey, this has 77.4 calories. It's one slice. It really understood it. Gives you more nutrition information here as well. Everything you normally get on a nutrition label. Now, I have had mixed results here. So I have a branded yogurt here, and if I scan this, last time I scanned this, it actually came up as, Sour Patch Candy. It didn't really get it, and I'm trying to scan it any other way I can. Now, let's see, nothing is coming up. and I feel like this food scanner, it might be still early. The phone doesn't come out for a few weeks. This is just a demo unit, so have to note that. But you can see here that it's not coming up with any results. It's not recognizing this as Oikos. It's not telling me the calories. Listed on the back here is 110, by the way. So I feel like it should be doing a better job on that, unless that's going to be fixed before it comes out. Now there's another neat mode on here called makeup mode. And you can see here, there's me, hi everyone. And it basically, you can put makeup on yourself here. So like you can choose to have lipstick. I'm gonna turn the lipstick off, and you can put, you know, eyeshadow, all sorts of stuff here, makeup on your cheeks, and put lipstick on me here. It is sort of funny. This is not the thing I would use, but I'm just showing you the power of augmented reality. Sort of putting myself out there, putting red makeup on for you guys, but that's how it works. You can put eyelashes, all sorts of stuff. Okay, I'm gonna turn that off now. A few other features in the camera application. And let's exit there. Super slow-mo HD. You can see pictures of that in our article, and what's really cool is you want to focus something in that square, and it actually can record at 960 frames per second. Now, another cool feature on this camera is the AR emoji, and this is sort of the Face ID competitor that Samsung has been touting on this phone. It's a really big deal for them. I'm not sure how many people are really going to use this actively. It's similar to Animoji in that it uses augmented reality technology on the front camera, but it's different because it uses you as the Animoji. It makes sort of a replication of you, sort of like maybe in Snapchat how you can create something of yourself there. And so, you know, it's pretty simple here. You can take a picture of yourself with the rear camera here, or you can flip it to the selfie camera. We go to AR Animoji here, and you click this blue button here to create your Animoji. I'm going in there. It says for best results, use clear glasses and hair. I'm not sure what that means, clear glasses and hair. But, you know, you take a picture of yourself. There's that. You choose if you're a male or female. Male. Not a great picture, but it's loading here, and it's sort of made an animated emoji of me. It's sort of like how Snapchat works. And you can choose your skin tone, and you can go between these two main different looks. I'm going to choose this one, and then you can choose, you know, different hair colors here. Maybe you want some gray hair, probably not. I'm going to go with this one. You can choose your hairstyle. Doesn't really look like me. Doesn't look like me either. Nope. Nope, but you can see that these are sort of fun, and it's very, again, that Snapchat app-like. I'm gonna go with that one, that's fine. Maybe I want some glasses, put those glasses on, choose my wardrobe. There you go, glasses and a suit. Choose that, click OK. Tells you can use it on the keyboard to send it at any time, send it around, email it, do whatever you wish with it. And that's that. That is AR Animojis, a key feature of the S9. Now, we're getting a ton of other questions, so let's switch to the other camera here. One question is, how much does it cost? Well, the prices on this thing are absolutely all over the place. When you buy an iPhone, you know how much the iPhone's going to cost. It's going to cost the same from Apple's website. It's going to cost the same from AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, T-Mobile. It's going to cost the same as your equivalent in Europe or Australia or other countries. With Samsung, the prices are all over the place. I've seen lower prices starting at around $720 for the regular S9, going all the way up to $920, $930 on Verizon for the S9 Plus. Samsung's unlocked versions are closer to the T-Mobile prices of around $720 for the S9 regular and around $840, $850 or so for the S9 Plus with the dual camera. So pricing, it really depends on your carrier and your plan. It's not a standard price like you get with the iPhones, $700 or $900 or $1,000. So if you want to know the price for this thing, just know that the smaller one is around the $720 to $750 ballpark, depending on your carrier, whereas the S9 Plus is around $880 to $930 or $40, depending on your carrier there. So that's really up to you. More questions coming in here. Did Samsung finally get rid of Bixby? It's a waste of space. You know, Bixby has not been as impressive as Google Assistant or Alexa, but Bixby is still here. You have the Bixby button, you have the Bixby functionality, and they're considering, and I know this is another marketing thing, some of the stuff that I showed you in the camera where you can take a picture of food and it'll now analyze it, part of the Bixby umbrella in terms of functionality. What's the battery life like? Like I said, I only got this phone this morning. It was just announced yesterday. We're really happy to have this in here. We are going to take it for a deeper test run to really gauge battery life. But I can tell you, I mean, since I got the phone at 100% about an hour ago, now it's at 84%. So, you know, consider that what you will. Brand new phone. Don't take that for much yet. We're going to have to really test this out to get a battery life verdict on here. But that is a good question in light of Samsung's past battery life problems. Is it fragile? Is it fragile? It's about the same as the S8 and the S7 in terms of, you know, fragility. I haven't really noticed anything in particular here. It feels like a solid phone. I haven't done any drop tests on it. The glass feels, you know, particularly strong. But again, we haven't tested this in real world environments yet. We haven't really taken it through its paces. This is just a first look for now. But after I, you know, go through it, use it for a bit, I'll give you an update on both the battery life as well as on, you know, the durability of the device. More questions coming in here. Will Samsung software ever be as good as Apple's iOS? You know, it really comes down to, you know, what you feel. Like, do you think the App Store is better on iOS? Do you think the App Store is better on the Samsung phones via Google Play? It's really of a personal opinion. Google has been doing more and more to sort of make their OS similar to iOS in terms of, you know, flashing up the icons, making things smoother, focusing on performance and reliability. But given how fragmented Android is, every different, you know, manufacturer of Android devices has their own flavor of Android. So you can see, and let's go back to the other camera here. This interface is very Samsung customized, right? You have your apps, you have your Bixby button, you have all sorts of stuff in here that's completely optimized. You have Google Assistant on here, however, all sorts of things going on, just the Samsung interface. So it really is a combination of, you know, Samsung's work on the OS as well as Google's work on the OS. And I think that's why sometimes the OSs might seem inferior to iOS, whereas Apple, you know, repeats on an annual basis their own launch schedule. More questions coming in here. What are the key differences between this new phone and the Galaxy Note 8? That's a really good question. So this is the S9. This is the smaller model with the 5.8-inch screen. There's also the bigger model with the 6.2-inch screen, the Galaxy S9 Plus. The Note 8, the difference is that the Note 8 has an embedded stylus in it, and be sure to check out our video on the Note 8 from last year from Samsung. Embedded stylus, so you can pull it out from the top. It's stored in here, pull it out, you can draw on it, you can write anywhere. It has a mode where you take the phone out of your pocket and you can write notes. It also has the dual camera on the back. Switch the other camera here, you can see this is the single camera. And how does this compare to the iPhone 10 in terms of camera performance? That's another question we got. The iPhone 10s, all models have a dual camera system. Here it has the single camera. But the camera actually has this new low light mode. In a couple demos I saw from Samsung when I was first learning about this phone, the demo seemed pretty impressive in terms of taking photos in a dark room, but we'll really have to see in real world testing how the new camera system pans out. But I feel like dual cameras at this point are a standard issue feature that phone makers are trying to get on all their phones in all sizes. So it's a little disappointing that they don't have the dual camera on this smaller one, but it is at least on the bigger one. Now we have some other questions coming in here. How does intelligence scan compare to the face scanning on the iPhone 10? Better or worse? Well, it really comes down to security. And as you saw, the speed of the face scanning mechanism on the Samsung S9 is very fast. I would say it's fairly comparable to the speed of the facial recognition on the iPhone 10. So I think it really comes down to security. Where is the data stored? Is it stored on the phone? Is it stored on the chip? On the iPhone, you know, it's stored on the onboard, you know, A11 processor. What happens with your data? What else can it be used for? Can apps access it? Is a person who has a picture of you or a dummy of you that they got from, you know, a Hollywood, you know, movie production company able to get through? I think we're going to see the phone being put through those paces as the launch continues. And this phone, like I said, comes out in the middle of March, so it's still early. So I think the differentiation on facial recognition at this point is going to come down to user privacy and security, and I think we'll know more on that topic in the coming weeks. Another key difference is that the iPhone 10's facial recognition scanner uses what they call the sensor housing, the sensor area, the true depth camera system, which combines different sensors to splash dots on your face, and then a facial recognition sensor and different types of low light scanners in order to determine your facial structure, whereas this is using two components. It's using a standard front-facing camera in order to do facial recognition of what your face looks like, but it's also using iris scanning technology. Iris scanning and basic facial recognition are not known to be super secure, but perhaps combined it adds another level of security, and we'll have to see as the intelligence scan feature, as they call it, keeps going along in testing how well it does compared to the iPhone 10's Face ID scanner. More coming in here. I have a Note 8. Should I switch? You know, that's a good question. Well, if you have a Note 8, that means you like the bigger 6.3-inch screen. So moving to an S9 would mean you're losing about half an inch of diagonal screen space. But a good comparison would actually be the S9 Plus. Having the new features like intelligent scan, having the faster processor, the improved low light camera, the additional Bixby features in the camera application on the phone might be appealing to you, the slimmer bezels. So if you really want a new phone to upgrade from the Note 8 and you don't use the stylus, the pen, or any of that functionality, and you really do want a new phone, sure, maybe take a look at the S9 Plus if you want to stay in the Samsung family. If you're not really itching to upgrade, I really don't see a true reason to upgrade from the Note 8 to the S9 Plus. I would think you would be better off waiting for the Note 9 or whatever they choose to call it when that phone probably comes out toward the end of this year. More coming through. Can you turn Bixby off? Yeah, that's a good question. So the voice assistants are pretty easy to turn on and off in settings. You can switch to Google Assistant. As you saw earlier, Google Assistant is what's set up on this phone. Google Assistant is far better than Bixby in some of my tests in terms of using it, in terms of recognizing things you're saying and asking it to do certain actions. Samsung, I feel, has sort of pivoted Bixby away from this voice speaker operating system to more of like intelligent functionality throughout the system. Other questions coming in here. Are the top and bottom bezels symmetrical? So let's take a look. Yes, they look pretty, symmetrical to me. You can kind of see here the border starts there. Let me open another application here where you have a white background so you can get a better look at it. And you can see the bezels are sort of symmetrical here on the top and bottom, and they are a bit slimmer than the bezels on the S8 that preceded it. Not much slimmer, not noticeably slimmer, just about a millimeter or two on either end. It's interesting to me that they decided to leave a little bit bezel on the bottom here, whereas Apple, has that full edge-to-edge design, or at least their bezels are a little bit slimmer than the Samsung ones here. Now, other questions coming in here. Give us a summary of the standout features compared to the previous versions. Well, the standout features are really the camera improvements, the low light photography, the slow motion mode, augmented reality emojis, the update to the intelligent scanning system. Overall, it's really not a huge upgrade. I really don't think this moves the needle forward, and it's a little disappointing given Samsung makes the whole kit. They make the underlying chips, the components, the screens, the processors, the cameras, pretty much everything, and they put it together in their own mobile phone designs. So I think they're holding their fire to something bigger. Samsung said it's working on a foldable phone design, one you'll be able to flex and stretch, do all sorts of stuff with, and I think that's going to be really exciting, and it's really going to move the needle forward. I haven't really seen any of the smartphone manufacturers, to be fair, truly moving the needle forward. But if you're on a much older Samsung phone, earlier than the S8 or the Note 8 or anything like that, you might want to take a look at their latest and greatest. And the pricing is pretty fair. It's in the same ballpark as the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Overall so far, again, early first look, feels like a very solid phone. Haven't had any performance issues or anything like that. So it's definitely worth taking a look at when it comes out in the middle of the month. Now we have a few comments coming in here. I love that it has the camera emoji face creation feature. Yeah, it is cool. Let's dive into that again so we can show everyone in case you missed it. So this is the AR emoji feature. You can take a picture yourself. I'm gonna do that here quickly. Okay, took a picture, and then you can create my emoji. Oh, I have to take the picture and then click the button. Okay, choose if I'm a male or female. Male. Sort of scans my face using the front camera. And you see here you can choose your skin tone, smile, all sorts of stuff here. Go with this one. Choose your hair color. Let's do gray hair this time. No, you know what? No, I'm not going to do gray. Choose this hairstyle, or it's a funky one. How about this one? The Gordon Hayward look. And then we have these glasses here. Let's see. No, we did the suit already. Let's do this one. Click OK. Save it. Saved. And then I can go, for example, into the text messages application here. And I can add the emojis here. And so we have our stickers here. So I have this one here, and it makes a little, augmented reality type of, twisted turn and animation here, and I can send that one. And for those asking, it sends as an MMS. They don't have their own proprietary messaging platform. another one here, and then this is my other Animoji that I made earlier. Some other cool ones here. And you can see the main difference here is that it's taking your facial structure, your face, hair, glasses, suit, clothes, you know, skin tone, hair color, all sorts of things, sort of like Snapchat, and it's basically adjusting them around your actual face. So this is based on your face. It's not a character like on the iPhone 10 with Animojis, where it sort of takes a lion or a ghost or, you know, a pile of you know what, and basically adjusts that to your facial, your structure, the way you're talking and whatnot. This is going a different approach. At the same time, this lacks what the iPhone 10 lacks in terms of moving how your mouth moves and the whole recording functionality. So while there's been a lot of comparison between AR Animojis as well as to Animojis on the iPhone 10, in practice, they are very different technologies. They just both use AR and the camera system and all that. And we're getting more questions here, and if you can please tweet them at me or Facebook them at us, and we'll respond to them online. Again, this was Samsung's S9 phone. There's also the S9 Plus, the bigger screen. Lots of cool new functionality in here, but I don't really think it's moving the needle. We're going to still play around with this for a while. We're going to gauge the battery life. We're going to gauge the durability. But so far, it looks like a solid upgrade for Samsung fans, and we'll keep diving into it and let you know what we think. So thanks for joining us, and we really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.